So this is from New York Times. This just came out today. Supreme Court to hear case on EPA's power to limit carbon emissions. The case was brought by Republican-led states and coal companies, and it could frustrate Biden's efforts to address climate change. The Supreme Court agreed on Friday to hear appeals from Republican-led states and coal companies asking it to limit the Environmental Protection Agency's power to regulate carbon emissions under the Clean Air Act. This is the equivalent of an earthquake around the country for those who care deeply about the climate issue, said Richard J. Lazarus, a law professor at Harvard. The court's decision to take the case came days before President Biden is set to attend a global climate summit in Scotland, where he seeks to reassure other nations that the U.S. will continue to pursue aggressive policies to combat global warming. In January, on the last full day of Donald J. Trump's presidency, a federal appeals court in Washington struck down his administration's plan to relax restrictions on greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. The move cleared the way for the Biden administration to issue stronger restrictions. A divided three-judge panel of the court, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, ruled that the Trump administration's plan, called the Affordable Clean Energy Rule, was based on a fundamental misconstruction of the relevant law, prompted by tortured series of misreadings. The panel did not reinstate a 2015 Obama-era regulation, the Clean Power Plan, which would have forced utilities to move away from coal and toward renewable energy to reduce emissions. But it rejected the Trump administration's attempt to repeal and replace that rule with what critics say was a toothless one. The Obama-era plan had aimed to cut emissions from the power sector by 32% by 2030 compared to 2005 levels. So to do so, it instructed every state to draft plans to eliminate carbon emissions from power plants by phasing out coal and increasing the generation of renewable energy. The measure came into effect. It was blocked in 2016 by the Supreme Court, which effectively ruled that states did not have to comply with it until a barrage of lawsuits from conservative states and the coal industry had been resolved. That ruling, followed by changes in the Supreme Court's membership that have moved it to the right, have made environmental groups wary of what the court might do in cases on climate change. Shortly after Mr. Trump's election, his EPA repealed the Clean Power Plan. Professor Lazarus said the Supreme Court's decision to hear the case threatened to sharply cut back, if not eliminate altogether, the new administration's ability to use the Clean Air Act to significantly limit greenhouse gas emissions from the nation's power plants. Groups supporting industry welcomed the court's decision to grant review. The Supreme Court will be reconsidering EPA's massive claims of authority to redesign entire industries rather than merely requiring improved technology, said Devin Watkins, a lawyer with the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a free market think tank that opposes most environmental regulation. This is excellent news because the agency lacks such massive power under the law. The Biden administration had urged the justices not to hear the case, saying the court should wait for the administration to issue its own regulations. After taking into account all relevant considerations, including changes to the electricity sector that have occurred during the last several years. The states and companies on the other side, the administration's brief said, urged this court to grant review now to help guide the upcoming rulemaking, but that is little more than a request for an impermissible advisory opinion. And more than a dozen other states urged the justices to act now. How we respond to climate change is a pressing issue for our nation, yet some of the paths forward carry serious and disproportionate costs for states and countless other affected parties, the brief said. Continued uncertainty over the scope of EPA's authority will impose costs we can never recoup because EPA, the state, and others will be forced to sink even more years and resources into an enterprise that is, at best, legally uncertain. The court should intervene now. So this is why the court, this is why they are wanting the court to pick up the case. It sounds to me like they are They just don't want to make the updates. They want to keep making the money they're making, and they know if they have to make the updates to the infrastructure, that cuts into their profits. That's all they fucking care about. They don't fucking care about the people. They don't care about the environment that they're fucking corrupting and destroying. They don't care about these things. They care about one thing. One fucking thing. And that's the money that they're lining their pockets with. These people have no vested interest in our country, in the communities that surround their businesses. They have no vested interest in any of it. They could care less. Couldn't care less. And as a result, our country goes up in flames. We see what happened with PG&E out in California. They're still fucking up the environment out there. Big time. But this is of no consequence to the people on the right. Because climate change isn't real. Only 99.9% of the scientists, world scientists, agree that climate change is real. So it can't possibly be real. Right? Oh, fuck off, man. You gotta be shitting me. We're witnessing climate change happen. We're witnessing the melting of the polar ice caps. Yeah, I could concede that, Arminius. But we're watching the melting of the polar ice caps. We're watching increases in tropical storms. We're watching the environment fucking for polar bears become eviscerated. I mean, they're literally like floating on fucking ice. They're fucking drowning. They don't have food sources. Like, this shit is fucking killing us. Like, and it just seems like whether it's left or right who's in control of our government, nobody seems to get any fucking thing done. And it's like, oh, well, you know, we have to respect the process and this shit and that shit. How come it is when the people who want to undo any fucking regulations, who want to watch the fucking world burn, can do whatever the fuck they want, and they get away with it, but the people who actually fucking try to do some good for the country, to do some good for the world, get stalwarted at every fucking pass? What the fuck is wrong with people? I don't fucking get it, dude. I don't fucking get it. This isn't fucking something that you can't see. This isn't an invisible fucking threat. We're witnessing it every fucking day. Wildfires, droughts, failing crops. You know, what the fuck what do we have to do, man? I think here's what we should do. Let's just move all the climate change deniers into the most affected areas by climate change, and they can fucking live there. And when they start crying and whining about how fucking bad the conditions are, about how their house is under fucking water, or fucking got eviscerated by a forest fire, maybe they'll realize that climate change is real. Yeah, I'll take that hard fucking ass approach. Sometimes people need to wake the fuck up, and nobody's doing the job of waking these people the fuck up in a real fucking way. It's fucking bullshit. Now let me tell you what I really think. I can't stomach this shit, man. It goes on and on and on and on. Right. We can do things to prevent, though. We can do things to care for ourselves and for our environment, and we're not doing that, Arminius.